Thanks for watching another episode of Muley Story Monday. We've got an awesome episode this week. It's with Eric Chesser. And to tell you the truth, I was so scared to go in there and interview him. I've seen him on all his videos, and I mean, he's kind of a hot shot. But I went in there, and he's like one of the coolest guys I ever met. He helped me out a ton, gave me some really good advice. So I just wanted to thank him for taking the time to do this interview. And here we go. He's got some sweet bucks. All right, today we're here with Eric Chesser, and he's going to tell us about the famous Barnwood Wall.
Yeah, guys, one of my most popular and frequently asked questions is just to go by the Barnwood Wall and tell a quick story of each buck. So I don't have any true, dirty giants. So we'll just go one by one and kind of give you a quick rundown of each buck, who shot them, maybe a little bit of story time, and give you a close-up of each one.
Sweet, here we go.
Alright, we'll start here on the Pedestal Mount. This is one of my personal favorite bucks. It possibly could be my favorite because I worked the hardest for this buck. It's my first archery big game animal ever, and my first archery deer. So I shot him in 2007 during Utah's extended archery season, and that was the first year that I truly committed to hunting with a bow, because in the past I think I had taken 4 animals at that point with a rifle, and I really wanted to challenge myself. And I wasn't a frequent archery shooter, but I wanted to challenge myself and try it. So I went out and got my bow tuned up, new strings, got everything worked out, and I committed pretty much my entire November to hunting mule deer on the Wasatch Front. This is the buck I got.
Those eye guards are insane. Let's get a close-up on those.
Yeah, check that out. Out of all the deer I have, out of all the sheds I have found, I have never found anything that has that much texture in the back of the eye guards. And what's cool is when I shot him, I had no clue that he had those.
Really?
At that point, I wasn't using a spotting scope. I was just using, my binoculars, so I knew he was just a 4-point frame. And if I had to guess, because of his frame and how he looks up here, I'd say he's regressed. Super old buck, and the taxidermist told me this was the biggest cape he had ever seen in his history of mounting deer.
Really?
So I knew he was an old buck. He was definitely a smart buck. It took me 3 stalks to finally get him, and it was late one night. I had just missed a really nice 4-point with my bow, and I was coming down the mountain basically thinking my day's over. I'm just going to get to the truck the last half-hour light. And I glanced down below me, and there's a whole herd of mule deer, a bunch of does, a few small bucks, and this guy. And I recognized him because I had already put 2 stalks on him.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, what are the odds? But I'm like, hey, you got to try. So I went down there. I kind of went straight at him. I really wasn't trying to sneak. I was really just trying to hurry because it was about to get dark. So I went straight at him. I got to where the deer were, and by the time I made it to them, I had gone out of their view to get there. The deer weren't there anymore, and I just kind of like, I know they're close, and I started glassing around, and like his white face through the thick oak brush just stood out. So I knew, he was there, but I didn't have a clear shot, and I kind of bumped him over the ridge. And it was just a slight hill, it wasn't like a real true razorback ridge. It was just the roundness of the hill he ran over and out of my view. So I decided, what the heck, 10 more minutes of daylight, I'm going to run over there. And as I crested over the last place I saw him, here he comes, chasing a small buck.
Towards you?
I mean, yeah, right towards me. So I was like, this is insane, this is perfect. So I ranged him, and I got settled in, and it was pretty dark, and I could see my pin right on him, and I let go, and I heard just this, like, it wasn't like a smack of bone, it was like a soft. So I felt really confident about the shot, and the deer actually ran right to me, and I'm like trying to get another arrow, and right past me and up the hill and out of my sight. So within 10-15 minutes, it was past legal shooting light, and I called my buddy, because this is my first year bow hunting. I'm like, what do you think I should do? He's like, just wait, go back in the next morning. So that's exactly what I did. I went back the next morning. I blood trailed him to the bottom of kind of a drainage, and that's where the blood just got worse and worse. And it was like the blood was getting worse, and then I looked up, and there he was piled up. So it was November. So it was freezing cold. There was lots of snow on the ground. when I walked up to him, that's when I noticed he had all the extras on his eye guards.
That's so cool.
You can only imagine how excited I was to get my first mule deer. I hunted, I don't know how many days straight, but I'd go in the morning, I'd come down and work, and then I'd go at night.
So how old were you at this point?
2007, so 10 years ago, like 23.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. So that was my first archery buck. It means a lot to me.
And that's not an easy hunt either.
No. It's a tough hunt just because the type of terrain on the Wasatch is like this, and it's oak brush. So, but what's fun about it is you're hunting rutting mule deer, so that's always good. And then this is the barnwood wall. I had a friend named Jay Jenkins help me put up the barnwood. He actually does wood flooring, and we put this up together one afternoon, and it turned out awesome. And I always imagined just putting like a bunch of bucks on here, and somehow I got 8 of them to fit. So we'll go from top left, and we'll just kind of give you a quick rundown.
Perfect.
So my little brother Walker, he's 5 years younger than me. He shot this deer on Utah's rifle hunt, just general season.
I remember that video. That's a sweet video.
Yeah, pretty funny story. It was super windy, and I was hunting with my buddy Jason. We were walking down a razorback ridge, and so the left side of the ridge was windy. We're like, we need to get off to this right side to get out of the wind and sit in glass. So no deer were moving because of the wind. But we got to this rock ledge, and my buddy Jason is like, dude, there's a nice buck. I'm like, where? I'm looking in the distance, and he's like, right there. I'm just like, he's like, look with your eyes. And it was right there, 136 yards away. And my brother had the tag, and he wasn't even down here yet. So I was like, Walker, you got to get down here. So he got down there. The buck was bedded, quartering, away, looking at us. And I think just because it was so close, Walker got down on the rocks, pulled the trigger, and shot right over his back. It made the jump the buck just stood up real quick, quartering away at us still, now standing. I was like, Walker, you got to hurry. I think he's going to bail. It's one of my favorite clips I've ever filmed, just because that big old white face and that big body. And he hit him, dropped him, and he actually fell off like a 30-foot cliff. Somehow, miraculously, didn't break any of his points. So we knew he was a big 4 by spike, As we saw him, you could see it with your eyes. But as far as character and uniqueness, that's probably one of my favorite bucks. You just don't see him that often. He's 27 inches wide. And
That's got to be the biggest spike like I've ever seen.
Yeah, every now and then I see a few of them, people shooting them on social media and stuff. And
really?
That's definitely one of the longest. I don't know. You could tell he's got something's wrong with his pedicle.
So do you think that's why it would cause that?
Yeah, because the year before his sheds were picked up and he was a spike. So
this
wasn't 1 year. It was most likely going to be his whole life, and it's because there's something wrong with his pedicle.
Huh.
So again, the next buck. This is one of my favorite hunts too. So my favorite personal hunt of the year, out of all my hunts, including my own that I carry a tag, is hunting with my little brother. It's something we do together. He doesn't hunt a lot, so when I take him, it's kind of like he'll just roll with the punches. If I tell him we got to hike to the top of that, no complaints.
That's sweet.
And there's just something about hunting with him that makes me so much more motivated to hunt hard. I hunt more hard when I'm hunting with him than myself. And I don't know why that is. I'll stay out, I'll glass longer, I'll hike harder. I just want to show him a good time and get him a good buck. So this was a general season hunt. The night before it had really rained, and that morning it was windy, so I just really had a feeling that the bucks would be bedded in the thick oak. So that's exactly what we did. Is I said we need to get to a high point and use the spotting scope to pick apart the oak where I think they're going to be bedded. And as soon as I got the spotting scope, it was almost like a magnet. I'm like, bing. I'm like, dude, there's a good buck. And he was turned, so I just saw those big fronts. And I thought I was just seeing tines everywhere, and I was like, that's a 200-inch deer. You know what I mean?
Well, if you see that front on that side. Yeah,
he's got the fronts of an absolute giant buck, and then he hardly splits on that side, and then it's a 3-point on this side. So as we got looking at him, he turned. I was like, Walker, he's a 3x4 barely. But I'm like, I think you need to shoot this deer. For the unit we were on, it was a great buck. It was definitely an older H-class deer. And, he had school coming up that week, really busy with school. He had some tests going on. I was like, I think this is a good chance to shoot this buck. So we got down the mountain, got closer, and I was like, you got to decide, The buck was in the wide open, and he's like, I'm going to take him one shot with my 270, and he was down.
That's sweet.
So It's one of my favorite mounts. Monarch Mountain Taxidermy did this one. It was just the prettiest cape I'd ever seen. He's got a really dark brow, really white patch, but more of like a silver gray compared to some of these other bucks that are much darker. But again, that's another buck of Walker's. In fact, this whole row is my brother's buck.
Oh, the whole top row?
Yeah, so this is the most recent year last year. He did not draw a tag for rifle, and we put in for some, not so desired units. So I was really surprised when he didn't draw a rifle tag. So we got a leftover muzzleloader tag. I've never shot one. I don't own one until then. So I was like, Walker, we need to go buy a muzzleloader. Utah had just passed the variable scope law. You can put a scope on your muzzleloader. So I actually went to wash my truck, and right across the street is Sportsman's Warehouse one day. I ended up washing my truck and buying a muzzleloader. So it's kind of funny, but this was the first year that Walker really helped me do like scouting. So these other hunts we kind of like just got lucky by hunting hard and found great bucks without scouting. This one we went out and put trail cameras out. We went out, found them in the summer, and we walked to the first trail camera, and I was like, that's a shooter buck, and it was broadside, so you can just see at big backs, but it didn't look like much for fronts because they kind of face you. So from the side, these don't look long at all. Not that they're extremely long, but they're much longer than they look from the side,
Yeah.
So we knew that was our number one buck to come muzzleloader season. Walker practiced a lot at the range. We got the muzzleloader sighted in, and we just thought not that we thought it was going to be easy, but we're like, this is our number one buck. We're going to hunt hard and find him. But day one, couldn't find him. Day two, couldn't find him. Day three, it rained. So it rained in the morning, and I was looking at the weather, and I said, Walker, we need to get up to the high point. Tonight, the storm is supposed to pass, and the sun will come out. And if that sun comes out, the last 2 hours of daylight, it's going to be amazing. And it was exactly that. As soon as the wind blew over, the clouds blew over, the sun came out, there was deer everywhere. So Walker was like, this is the funnest night, because he kept spotting deer. And he's like, there's 2 bucks, there's 3 bucks, it's muzzleloader hunt, so they're still somewhat bachelored up. And I glass far away, obviously we're in the same general area, but I glass way far away, the farthest hill I can see, and I find a buck at last light. And I just see the big backs. I was like, I think I just found your buck. So looking at it closer, just because the bucks that I knew around, I was like, that has to be him. So I'm like 99.9% sure it's him. So the next morning we made a game plan to hunt and to be across the canyon from that same spot. And at first light, I found him, and in 5 minutes of first visual light, the buck bedded. And I'm like, you smart sucker, All the other deer feeding around, and he's alone in the beds. So we had to make quite a trek, and I think it was a 6-hour stalk of just waiting for him to stand up and trying to get a good shot. But he dumped him at like 100 yards with the muzzleloader first shot, and that was the first year hunting with him that we got the buck we were after. So
that's
cool. Probably one of my favorite hunts with him.
That's just a good looking buck too.
Yeah, big boxy frame, eye guards. It's funny, you're always like, oh, this one's a 3-point, but it doesn't have eye guards, and then that one's a 4-point, and it's got eye guard. I don't know, it's just so funny. You're always trying to find one that has good everything, and then that's what makes it really hard to find one of these giants.
Yeah.
Is you usually get one good thing and not the other. But
doesn't he have some awesome stories? Be sure to check out the Hushin YouTube channel to see some live video of some of those hunts. I've watched a couple of them, and they're just really cool, especially his brother's bucks. They have some really cool videos of their hunts, so be sure to check that out. I'll try to put some links in the description of the video. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any other videos. We'll have part 2 coming up here. So thanks again for watching. I appreciate it.